How is everybody doing? Welcome back to another episode of The Banker Next Door. I am your host, Dr. Joe Berquist. So, today we're going to be talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and that is bank culture. I don't think we can ever talk enough about certain topics like bank culture, bank leadership, bank strategy. So, I found this great article from Independent Banker magazine that gave an example of three community banks and basically how they deal with maintaining the culture of their banks. So, which I thought was great. So, let's take a look at this. There is a link to this article in the description down below if you'd like to go take a look at it. But this article is entitled Workplace Culture, a Make or Break for Community Bank Employees. So culture keeps a workplace and its employees running, whether they know it or not. From values and practices to the way colleagues interact, culture drives a community bank from the inside out. Learn what it means to these community banks and discover the practices they establish to maintain a positive culture at each branch. So Jay Bearden once heard someone say that the number one job of a CEO is to maintain the culture. That struck me because I'm much more of a numbers person, said the president and CEO of 1.1 billion asset Legend Bank in Bowie, Texas. I thought, well, that's kind of a squishy thing. Bearden was intrigued and explored the concept further. He now recognizes that every workplace invariably has a culture, the mix of values, mission, and practices that guide behavior and decision making. He has powerful incentives to make his community bank's culture a good one. And yes, and I would just add real quick that yes, he is 100% correct in that assessment. I do believe that the number one job of the bank CEO is to maintain the culture of the bank. A lot of people will talk about, things like, well, raising capital and, making sure that the numbers stay up and keeping the bank efficient and all this kind of stuff. But I think the culture is what drives all of those other things. If you have a great culture, you will have great performance. If you have great performance, it makes it easy to raise money. All these things that happen, but it all gets driven out of the culture, and that's why I always believe that culture is the number one thing. You have to maintain that culture. But anyway, okay, so I digress. Let's get back here. So whatever mission you're trying to accomplish, whether it's growth, whether it's certain level of profitability, or whether it is, that's the fruit of your culture, Beard says. For me, as the CEO with a strong culture, it makes attaining those goals a lot easier. Building and maintaining a robust culture looks different for each organization, but it can be instructive to explore ways other community banks integrate culture into their everyday practices. We talked to three community banks about how they build strong cultures. Let's see here. So kind of like number one, I guess, basically tip, if you will, or thing that they do is hiring with culture in mind. So a strong culture is one in which everybody is going in the same direction and trying to achieve the same thing, says Bearden. Keeping culture front and center when considering job applicants can make that goal more attainable and potentially reduce turnover. Candidates really have to fit with the culture of 1 billion asset Seattle Bank, according to John Blizzard, president and CEO. He says the Seattle-based bank's business model includes boutique banking and thrives on innovation, collaboration, transparency, and continuous improvement. Workers accustomed to what Blizzard calls a very narrow job that they just repeat aren't generally a good match for the bank. With our culture, you just have to do a wider job and be ready for change, and you kind of have to like it. He says, at the end of the day, you've got to embrace it or you're not going to do well. Indeed, the soft skills that an organization values can be hard to teach, says Valerie Utsi, ICBA, EVB, and Chief People Officer. I could teach you how to be a teller better than I could teach you how to be a fast-paced, or I could teach you how to be in a fast-paced environment, multitask, and be okay with change, she says. You've got to be able to bring that skill set along. Yes, absolutely. Number two here. Set cultural expectations. So while the recruitment process should introduce candidates to an organization's culture, onboarding should provide reassurance that new employees made the right choice based on culture, Utsi says. At 848 million asset First Community Bank, a division of Glacier Bank, new hires spend their first day focused singularly on Layton, Utah's bank's culture. We don't even touch any other training until day two, says Brady Stratton, Senior VP and Marketing Director. New employees see a presentation about First Community Bank's culture, which has 4 pillars: education, accountability, profitability, and recognition. They also get their first chance to experience its collaborative nature by having breakfast with the executive team. According to Stratton, First Community Bank wants new hires to know they are important to the company and to see they have access to leadership. The gathering also helps set the tone for their journey, he says, and provides an opportunity to make sure their personal values align with the bank's values. This rarely happens, but if you don't have values aligned, then it's probably not the best place for you to work, because those values are crucial to our success and getting along with each other, Stratton says. And then a couple bars here. So let's see here. So a couple of these things. Employees weigh in. The proof is in the numbers. Culture can make or break a workplace. 32% of workers say a positive organizational culture is the most important non-financial workplace benefit. Of employees who have a positive culture at their job, 82% say they're likely to recommend their organization to someone looking for a job. 83% say they are deeply motivated to deliver high quality work. Of those facing a negative work culture, 57% say they are actively or soon will be looking for a new job. 27% have quit a job because they didn't feel comfortable sharing their personal viewpoints and stances at work without judgment or discrimination. 47% of workers who have left a job within the first 90 days cite poor company culture as a reason for leaving. Now let's get into number 3, a chance to speak up. So onboarding isn't the only time employees can communicate with leadership at First Community Bank. They're invited to share their thoughts on what the upcoming year's strategic plan should look like. For example, we realize that they're the ones that will make the plan come to fruition, Stratton says, so they should have a say in there, right? Employees can also participate in an anonymous survey each year about the company's culture, which Stratton likens to an annual checkup. It helps the bank gauge trends, either positive or negative, in areas like communication, training, leadership, and processes. I would comfortably say that like 80% of the major changes we've made personnel-wise for the bank in the past 9 years have come from feedback from that culture survey, Stratton says. Our employees feel like they do have a voice and that they have a channel for communicating their ideas and seeing those ideas implemented, which is really cool. Employees have shared, for example, that they want educational opportunities to learn more about how different areas of the bank operate. First Community Bank responded by creating a leadership academy and a year-long mentoring program that pairs participants with executive team members. And now I break off for a second here. I love that idea. I absolutely love that. I think that if, again, it gets back to that whole idea of, career path. What do you do? Like, what are you doing? Again, I feel like, you work so hard to get a really good employee in the door and to onboard them to, and get them ingrained in the company's culture. And, then they come in, they start doing a good job and you love what they're doing. But then I think a lot of, not just banks, but I think a lot of companies in general fall down because they forget that, okay, now once you have that great employee, you now have to keep that employee. And it's not just about, paying them, because pay is not always the major motivating factor. And again, having a great culture can be awesome. But if that individual doesn't feel like they're going anywhere in the company, or there's not a future there for them, it doesn't matter how great the culture is. They might make a lot of friends there. They might love working there. They're not going to stay there, though, because they're going to look around and they're going to say, well, this is great, but it's not going anywhere. So I think having things like this, where you have this mentoring program, you give them a chance to experience different parts of the bank, you get them a chance to look and see other things, you increase their learning and their education about the business. I just think that's fantastic. I think if you could do that, your odds of retaining those employees for a much longer period of time are going to go up exponentially. So but let's continue here. So meanwhile, Legend Bank also wants employees to communicate freely. Bearden says it has through I'm sorry, I lost track there. It was through conversations with employees that the bank learned its paid time off policy had some unintentional unfairness to it, which the bank corrected. Also, after hearing through an anonymous survey that several people thought Bearden talked too long at a previous all-employee meeting, he planned to keep it shorter at the next one. We've got to have an attitude of humility, he says. Our executive team, we've got like 150 years of combined experience, but we don't have all the answers. He recognizes that great ideas can and do come from others, including employees early in their career and those who interact with customers every day. Encouraging open communication has another benefit for employees and ultimately their employers. You're buying in a lot stronger too if you think you could be heard and make a contribution, Bearden says. And then we have reward and recognition. So tying rewards and recognition around a community bank's core values can help strengthen a positive culture, Utsi says. You want to ensure that you are recognizing how people get things done and not just what people have done, whether it's through awards, through your performance management system, through bonus structures, she says. First Community Bank has many ways of recognizing employees. One is enabling staffers to give shout outs to colleagues. The messages appear on the bank's intranet and in its weekly internal newsletters. I think one of the most powerful forms of recognition is just saying thank you and recognizing that things are done, Stratton says. The community bank also has quarterly celebrations that recognize, among others, employees who have been nominated by coworkers for representing one of the bank's values. Team members who get a shout out or a nomination earn Shelly Bucks. They can redeem this internal currency, which is named after the bank's president and CEO, Shelly Holt, for gift cards or Amazon purchases. Employees can also get Shelly Bucks for other reasons, like when their teams or branches hit their quarterly goals. We find every opportunity we can to award them because they're so motivating, Stratton says. In early 2024, First Community Bank introduced another means of recognition that Stratton says has been wildly successful. Employees can earn special coins for their years of service and leadership levels. They can also get them for educational efforts, like applying for the bank's Leadership Academy or completing other certification. Employees keep their coin trays on their desks, and adding to their collections has become a popular pursuit. It's encouraged some people to get out of their comfort zones and do some things that they wouldn't have done before, because now there's recognition to it, Stratton says. And then let me see here. So, and then it gets down to, I'm going to kind of skip that sidebar there. Demonstrate empathy. So Bearden describes Legend Bank's culture as one that seeks to enrich employees not only materially and professionally, but also personally in terms of work-life balance and the relationships they have with each other. One way some employees experience the bank's legendary culture is through an association with the Rainy Day Fund. It's managed by a committee of line-level employees who can distribute up to $1,000 to coworkers facing a financial hardship. That is, to me, one of the things I'm most proud of that we do, Bearden says, just helping our own out and doing so in a way where it remains very low key and nobody's embarrassed and nobody's trying to get credit for anything. So, and then team efforts start at the top. Like leaders who want to successfully embed culture in their organizations have 3 mandates, according to the analyst firm Gartner. Actually, the accounting firm Gartner, but they need to help employees understand the culture's core values, ensure workers know the behaviors they should be demonstrating, and make the processes that govern employees' work support the culture. Above all, as Stratton notes from experience with his own bank's executive team, leaders need to be committed to creating a positive culture and setting a good example for themselves. And then the article finishes here with 6 more ways to build positive culture. So number 1, encourage employee resource groups. Number 2, champion community engagement. Number 3, offer professional development. Number 4, prioritize civility. Number 5, assign new team members a PAL. And number 6, build community through fun activities. I love all of those suggestions. Number 4 here for a second. Prioritize civility. Don't be a jerk. At a great bank that I work for, we have a saying, attack the problem, not the person. So in other words, it could be easy to kind of get emotional, fly off the handle in the minute. It could be a jerk, or come off as a jerk. But don't do that. Attack the problem, not the person. So prioritize civility. I love that. So again, great article. Let's run back through these here. So again, remember, team efforts start at the top. Demonstrate empathy. Reward and recognize your employees. Give your employees a voice. Give them a chance to speak up. Set cultural expectations. and then always remember, hire with culture in mind. So I think those are fantastic suggestions. And again, I thought this was a great article that I wanted to hit on, just about maintaining your company culture at your bank, delivering that culture at the bank, and why it's so important to just constantly reinforce it and reinforce good habits, good patterns that just play into that culture overall. So, yeah, so this is only the first. I will bore everybody to death with endless conversations about culture. I love talking about this stuff because it is so important. Because it does. I don't know that you could have any successful bank or even company out there, for that matter, if they don't have a great culture. They go hand in hand. So, okay, with that being said, I'm going to wrap up the episode now. So if you like this episode, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. That always helps the channel. Remember, we are on YouTube, Rumble, and all major podcast platforms. Please be sure to leave your comments down below, as I always love getting back to everybody. As always, make sure to check out some of the other content on the channel. And remember, BND Strategy Room, the live stream show of the channel, every Saturday night on YouTube at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, it's live. Come on in there. I talk about all the big news stories of the week. We talk about economic indicators. We talk about the overall economy, interest rates. What is the Fed doing? Talk about all that great stuff, all the things going on in the world, in the world of finance, as it were. And but again, I hope everybody checks that out whenever they have a chance. With that being said, have a great day out there, and I will see everybody again real soon.